Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well at home. Tonight, we're here at BDA BSL Blethers, and I'm Avro Hepner. Tonight's edition's topic is what we're going to discuss about. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Tonight's topic that we'll be discussing will be the organisation Deaf UK 50 Plus. Now, I don't know if many of you have heard of them. I'm sure some definitely know, some haven't. But I've been having a keen interest in the work that they've been doing for all these years. So we thought it's time to invite two of the committee members here to come to talk to us in Scotland, because up until now, Scotland really hasn't been involved, and we know that the information about what they've been doing has been spreading. So I really hope you will enjoy tonight's discussion. And as usual, your questions are more than welcome. Just please put them in the comments box, and hopefully you'll enjoy both our presenters' stories. So the first person I would like to introduce to you is Joe. Hello, Joe. Hi there, Avro. Lovely to see you again. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us a wee bit about yourself. Where are you from? Just a wee background about you, Joe. Well, my name is Joseph, but they call me Joe for short. Second name's Collins, but my sign name is this, rubbing my hands. Now, the reason for that is that I always get super enthusiastic and excited about things. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Well, we've got lots of questions for you, Joe. But before I go into that, I'd like to introduce Pam. Hi, Pam. How are you? Hi there, Avro. Could you just do exactly what Joe has just done? Absolutely. My name's Pamela, but everyone calls me Pam for short. And I'm on the committee representing Scotland. And I've just been in this committee for the organisation representing Scotland for the last 2 years. Oh, I'm just so delighted that Deaf UK 50 Plus have a Scottish rep there. But before we talk about what's happening now, could we go back a wee bit and tell us, Joe, about Deaf UK 50 Plus? How did it come about? We know you're passionate, enthusiastic about everything, but how was it set up? Could you just give us a bit of background? Absolutely. Well, it's first started in 2003, and at that time it was called English Deaf Darby and Joan. That was what we had. Prior to that, there was another venture, and they were called Eastern. But ours was well known as being the English Deaf Darby and Joan group, and that's what we were known for all this time. Are you? Is that you still called that? Well, we were called that for a long, long time, as I said, until about 6 years ago when we decided to change the name, and we changed it to UK 50 plus. And the reason for that, quite simply, was we realised that we were only focusing and English deaf people and making English deaf people feel that it was only for them. But in fact, we wanted to make sure that all the four nations were welcome. So that's why we changed the name, to encourage not just us travelling all over the UK, but also expanding our network as well. Oh, that's amazing. So first it was Eastern, then it was the English deaf, and now it's Deaf 50 plus UK. Great, I've got it. Pam, could I ask you, did you just get involved 2 years ago in 2020? Is that correct? That's right, Avro. So, altogether, how many committee members do you have within your team? I think so far there's 13 so far. That's a good number, and it's a big committee. Uh, so, Joe, you said yourself, what's your role? Well, I'm the convener. And I do all the network and engagement with the committee. You know, we have, as I say, committee rep for Scotland, treasurer, one from Northern Ireland, one for Wales, not yet. and we have other reps within the other areas, regions of England. That really is a massive committee. Are they paid or are they volunteers? All volunteers. Well, Pam just beat me to it. No one gets paid a penny. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so it was set up. So how many years are we at now? Oh, 19 years we are, Avril. We're at 19 years. Wow. And so, well, next year will be your 20th anniversary then. Oh, that's a massive milestone. It's amazing that you've been going so long. So, how did you cope with coronavirus? Did that mean that activities had to be suspended, or how did you deal with that? Well, it was really quite sad. We did have to suspend it for 2 years. We didn't have anything happening, and it was simply due to coronavirus and COVID. So obviously, we'd actually booked Skegness originally, uh, and there was over 400 people that were going to travel there, and we had to cancel. And I had to sort out all the money getting back to people. You can imagine that. And it took the whole committee, all of us working together, 3 weeks to get everything all signed, sealed, delivered. Wow. So, okay, before we move on to sort of what's happening now, could I again ask, was it your idea to set up? Where did this idea of this organisation? He said, well, it was an amazing man, and his name was Mike Webster. Webster. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about Mike, but before we talk about that, for our deaf viewers at home, we'll just show you a quick photo of Mike. Oh, a lovely photo. Can you tell us a bit more about Mike, Joe? Who was he? What motivated him? Or Pam, would you like to maybe? Well, I met Mike Webster through Deaf 50 UK plus. No, it wasn't through that. It was actually through bowling, lawn bowling. At that time, it was the Scottish Deaf Bowling Club, and I can remember at that time, Mike Webster came to me and to my husband was smoking on the lawn, and we were laughing because of his facial expressions, and I'll never forget it. And then I met him for years and years off and on, and then when Deaf UK 50 plus it started, there was nothing about that man that had changed. He was as sweet and as generous, as kind as he always was. So, how did it come about and why did it come about? Well, Mike, as I said, he's such an amazing person. He had the patience of a saint and could manage anything. He had uh, so many hats. It wasn't just us. He volunteered for many different clubs. As I said, he was in the bowling convener and lots of other organisations. He gave up his time. So yeah, really was Avril. He just was a man of many abilities. So he'd been organising obviously lots of things. And but sadly, 2 years ago, he decided to step down because Mike had felt that I had met the standards, that all the teaching and everything that I've been doing, that he felt happy that he could step down. It was in safe hands because I'd done various activities and events, and Mike had seen that I was able to do that because he'd allowed me to shadow him over the years as well. My heart was absolutely broken when he passed away last year. But, and it's a big but, he would want us to keep going. He would want the deaf community, all of the deaf community, and all of the deaf communities up there in heaven watching down to making sure and giving us the confidence to continue this beautiful legacy that he's left. I'm sure Mike, Joe is so proud of you that you're carrying on the baton for him. I just think it's amazing. And I think it'd be lovely just to see it being passed through all the generations, just keeping that kind of tradition alive. So you've travelled though with the group all over the place really, but you only do it once a year, that's correct? Yes, Avro. It's a once a year gathering and it can be anywhere. We go to the usual venues, sometimes like Butlins or Pontins. Okay, got you. Because they're quite large venues. Uh, Okay. Some different organizations, and they're all locations all around. Some it just depends, but they're one of the biggest venues is obviously Blackpool. Well, I'm not surprised. And in 2009, that was a record number of people. 870 people arrived for that stay. So, okay, so every year then, Joe, what's the average numbers of people? Do you have an average, or does it go between a certain numbers? It really does depend in the location. But I can give you one example. We went to a place that held 8,000 people. Okay, that venue had was the capability of 8,000 people. Oh, did we get 8,000? No, we didn't. We didn't, Avril. We didn't. However, um, what had happened was we actually had got within Butlins our own um, area, if you like, complex. So our hall was only we could only walk up and down the hall, and it was all deaf people in this because it's such a large venue. Oh, so you almost had like a deaf village and a deaf area there where everybody you met could communicate. Oh wow, that's amazing. So how long do you stay? Usually it's a 5 day, Monday to Friday. So it's 5 days and 4 nights, and we sign till our fingers are nearly falling off through the night, just catching up. We're up in the morning, you'll see the queue and everybody signing, and it's such a sight. So the costs when you're planning this, does that cover food and things like that as well? Well, what we do is we pay for the 4 nights and for breakfast and evening meal, and bingo is included in that. So the cost of buying bingo boots, and there's also some activities that they put on that are free. So there's some bingo that you can do, with the raffles, and you can get some prizes and things like that. It really depends on the costs and how much they can work out you can get. Pam, could I ask you, have you often went to, the events, or when was your first time? Oh, my first time was actually it was in their 15th anniversary, and we went to Bodlewoodin Castle. It's in Wales. Ah, North Wales. Okay. So that was the first time I'd ever been. And it was absolutely amazing because we were in this castle. We were opening these heavy curtains, feeling like royalty. I just let my mind just go wild. We had parties, the committed organised lovely events. There was lots of people in the deaf community we hadn't met before, but everybody just really felt as if we had that connection. And really that was my first time that I was there, and when I'd seen that happening, that's obviously what I want to do in my role. We believe that this should be the Four Nations approach, because that time when I went to North Wales to Bod Bodlewoodin Castle, I couldn't go to some other places, and it was Skegness. Sorry, that's my sign for Skegness. That was actually Mike Webster's sign for Skegness, the bit with just over your head. So, obviously, the last 2 years we've not had anything happen with COVID. So, my motivation is sky high for this year. Fantastic. Joe, now that you've got to 19 years, you'd mentioned that you had a 15-year anniversary. Do you have something special for next year? Well, we did. We went to Bodywood Castle in Wales for a 15th, and what we had a birthday cake with our logo on it, and we planted a tree. And the idea, and we've got a wee plaque there as well, and it says that deaf UK 50 plus have been here, and we planted that tree. So we really want to to make sure that everybody sees it. You never know; it might turn into a big beanstalk. Well, you've planted in Wales for your 15th anniversary. That's just such a beautiful idea. So next year's your 20th anniversary. I hope you're going to plant a tree somewhere else, maybe in Scotland. Do tell, please. Pam, are you going to spill the beans? Oh no, it can't be a tree. You know, you have to plant thistles. Well, Avro, we have obviously in the process of organising a massive event for our 20th anniversary. At the moment, we have a venue, but the contracts and things like that have not been signed, sealed, and delivered. Um, and it might be that we have a weekend in Scotland, maybe one in Northern Ireland, an event, and maybe a celebration in Wales. Because really now we want to thank everybody in our whole of our deaf community for being there, you know. And some people maybe are in the dark and they didn't know, you know. So really, usually it's just one event, but next year we're potentially looking at 4 events in each of the home nations. Pam, as I said, she's the person responsible for Scotland. Rita for Wales, for Northern Ireland. So you've got people representing their own local areas. Well, that's really good, Joe. You mentioned that some deaf people, go to all of the events, some dip in and dip out. What about yourself? Oh yeah, I go to all of them, the 4 events. Oh, well, actually, you're particularly talking about the 4 events next year. You're saying some will go to all 4, and maybe you'll go to one. But yes, I'm absolutely sure you'll go to all 4. So, this year, is there any event this year, given obviously it being closed with COVID? Well, as I said earlier, normally we are only a 1 year, one event a year. But obviously, the way people have been feeling for the last couple of years, what we're considering, and it's just a new idea, is maybe going on a river cruise in Nottingham. You can maybe get high tea on the boat. It's a 3-hour trip. So we're thinking maybe the 28th of April, on a Wednesday. Uh, and maybe we'll do that as a pilot. So if that works out, these odd events, and they're successful, then we could maybe do some long-term planning and fit them into our calendar. Oh, that sounds lovely. So, really for this year, it'll be an event and then small events in between. Sounds great. So this year, where are you planning going? Where are you staying for your 5 days? Oh, Pam, over to you. This September, it's the 26th, that right, Joe? 26th to the 30th of September, and we're going to Weston-super-Mare. Where is that? Oh, it's right down the south. Oh, it's near Bristol, kind of that area, sort of south, really far south, but that kind of west area. They will be there Monday to Friday, and we are staying at Sand Bay Holiday Village. Oh, that sounds lovely. The committee had went last September just for a look, a wee recce, and it's amazing. Uh, I can share that news later on when we're ready to publicise it. So, how many have booked for this so far for September? Altogether, there's over 300 people, and the numbers are just rising all the time. And it's only February, but there is availability. We will keep it open till the summer. and then depends, and the responses will depend, um, how much booking we do. So this year it might be slightly different because what's happened is Pam is organising some bowling. And what we're trying to do is get more people involved in some lawn bowling. So we're looking, we've got an idea. Pam, come on, it's your idea. Come on. Well, really, it's everybody in the committee. And what we thought is we need something new. We've also got the same things as, golf. And we thought, do you know what? What about doing green bowling? You know, and doing some of the lawn the bowls. So we thought what we'd do is we'd do trebles. So we'd have a kind of mini league, and then the top of them will go into the next stage, and then eventually we'll get down to the finals. And we'll create a new trophy, and it will be Deaf UK 50 Plus Cup. And that's a mark of respect to Mike Webster in honour of him. And Joe had remembered both of them discussing something like that before he died. And so it's keeping a promise we made. Oh, that's lovely. And it also keeps his memory alive. Yeah, we intend this to be a every year event from this year. So it'll be an annual event. And that's not just our only idea. We've got lots and lots of ideas that we're all discussing um, to introduce sort of long-term planning and how the organisation is going on. Yoga is a possibility, some exercise, any kind of ideas. But what's most important is the people and the people within the deaf community. They tell us what they want. It's their holiday. And we are happy and more than prepared to sit down and listen and adapt any plans or look at adapting anything that's in existence to make sure that they're happy and that this continues. Well, uh, as you said, there's loads of deaf people that come, hundreds of deaf 50 plus, and everybody's signing. But what happens if you get a husband and wife that's maybe deaf or hearing? And so do you only accept deaf people? No, we accept everybody. There is no discrimination in our organisation, and it's the same with ages as well. We've got a person who's 50, but the partner's much younger. It's 40. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter because it's important that we've got one person that's 50. Well, you know that some organisations um, tend to have a kind of core group of people arrive that come. What about your group? Is there a core age group that come? No, really, Avril, it varies, but it's I would say now it's probably between the 60 to 75. That was in the past age group, but what I'm noticing now, that would have been the core group, but now it's the 45 age group moving up to 70. So instead of it being kind of 75 and then coming down to 60, it's came right down to 45 and then just came down from 75. So we do lots of activities. We do German whist games. We do every year we have our sort of favourite activities as well. So as I mentioned, German whist, bingo, lots of things that we do. But we have different events in different venues as well. So people can have choices. So it's not just one and only one. So they can decide what they want to do. Okay, so if you've got maybe some older people maybe have mobility issues, some health issues, you know, I'm just thinking, you know, and Spain, in Benidorm, they're famous for their scooters. I mean, is there accessibility and things like that as well? Oh yeah, some people bring their own mobility scooters. They do. Some people book, and we'll try and provide a scooter, within the area. Um, and we'll negotiate for them, and then they'll provide the scooter. Usually, it could be a cost, but what we can do is we actually make sure that so that if people were using scooters, they're not excluded from all the games. So what we do is we have other games that people that have scooters and rely on them can play, like hoopla and other things like that. Oh, that's amazing. You've got so many activities, pool, darts, as well as everything else. Oh my goodness. I know that also you sometimes invite some key speakers and things like that, or comedians or people from the theatre just for some entertainment. Is that right? Yes, you're right, Avril. We have loads of different people over the years from all over the place, really. But this year, what we're going to try to focus is on having someone that's what we're doing is focusing on ourselves and look at our engagement. We definitely will be having people there at our 20th anniversary, but our focus just now is bringing the community back together after such a long time apart. So, do you have exhibition stalls or is it just activities? I'm just wondering, do you invite maybe famous people in at times? Well, in the past, we used to have stalls at different deaf organisations, when it was any sort of new technology or anything else. But when we were having events, but this year there's not really been that conversation. I think there may be a couple of people might come and give some important information to everyone. But certainly at the 20th anniversary, we're hoping that the situation is going to be different and we'll be able to, have the old things that we used to have where people would have stalls, but that's up to the committee. I mean, you've mentioned that you've had an occasion 800 people, and I mean, it's such a lot of people. It's such a massive event to manage. Is it easy? Oh, no, not at all. It's not easy because we're all volunteers, Avril. It's all spare time, all the research, all the meetings are at night, all the discussions are at night, booking the venue. We need 18 months in advance. Wow, because we need that length of time to plan based on time. So that's why, we're up at the wire just now booking for next year. And then we have to look at the finance we have to make sure that we put down a deposit to make sure that there's money there so that we're still solvent for that. Wow. Well, while we've been chatting away, we've had some questions coming in, and there's been quite a lot in our comments. So I'll read you one of the questions that's coming in. And the question's from Catherine Margaret. And her question is, and I'll just read it out for you. If Pam arranges the Green Bowls in September or the 20th anniversary, will there be room for other games like darts, for example? At the moment, our complete focus is on this year's event. So we are definitely just still in discussions about next year. But certainly our aim for the event in Scotland, I mean, Joan's going to organise the obviously the big anniversary event. But what I'm hoping in the future in Scotland is at our 20th anniversary, we'll have darts, bowling, dominoes, indoor kind of activities, traditional activities that deaf people have played for years. And it's not about what I like, it's about what other people want to do. So the decision hasn't been made yet because we still have to have consultation as well. Yeah, it's a good question to raise because this year, as I say, we've got the green bowls, the lawn bowls, and I would expect that we would have a dart competition later on. In 20 years, oh, sorry, in 20 years, sorry, we've still, for the 20th anniversary, we're still obviously looking at the venue and there's other activities. So, for example, what this year we've got Skittles as an activity. Is it the wooden ones or oh, it's wooden Skittles? So that's a new activity. So there's someone who's considering do rambling as well. So there's lots of new different ideas being discussed and worked out at the moment. As soon as we know what's happening, we'll certainly produce a timetable, and we'll give plenty of notice to everyone so that they can actually decide if they can attend or not. And certainly anything in relation to the 20th anniversary will be all there in print, because the other thing about these things is we need feedback from the people that go on these trips, so to make sure that we're up to the standards that they want. Well, I think in Scotland next year, given that we've had COVID, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that be interested in the rambling, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people from the other nations that would love to look at our beautiful hills and glens and just look at the scenery. So, and also you've mentioned other sports there as well. Uh, so just to let you know, not only have people been actually commenting, but they've been texting me in questions as well. So I have a question for you. This question is about for Joan. Is have you been there sorry, Joe? Have you been there the whole time? No, you've been there for 11 years. And how many years have you been? Um, well, oh, sorry. How many times have you been on the trips? 11 times. Joe has been, and just once, just a few years back. And remember, Pam, you came to a trip and really enjoyed it. Okay, so Joe's been about 11 times, Pam once. But see if you look back, what are the funniest and the memories that you can just bring to the front of your mind straight away? Is there anything, or maybe Pam, maybe your first time was you were a bit shell shocked? Oh, I've got one Afro, and it's Mike's story. So all credit to Mike. There was this person, and they'd went to the bingo. That was fine. They won money, quite large, one big. Everything was fine. And then on the Friday, they were going home, and Mike had was driving them, and had said, "I've left the money in the flat." Mike had get a text in, so Mike had texted the hotel or the accommodation, the cleaners, to say, "Hang on, I'll have a wee look." And they looked and they found the money all there. So all got sorted, and it went back to the deaf person. And the reason he got it back was because he planked it right under the TV. So that was like the kind of stories we would happen. Somebody wins big, hides the money, and we'd have to go and fix it at the end. Pam, what about you? Have you got a story you'd maybe like to share about the first time or that you went on one of the holidays? Well, I'm trying to think. I think maybe if I'd went often, I would maybe have more stories to tell. But I remember the first time, it was just like I was seeing people like I hadn't seen for years from school. I saw Mike again, and you were catching up with everybody. And Mike kept saying to me, "Come on, Pam, come over here." And I was like, "I'm so lucky. My husband was there. We were talking to all his friends and everything else." And I've eventually, because I didn't know many people at the beginning, but now I just know everyone. That's how it works. You'd mentioned that when you were staying at the castle in Wales, that you felt like royalty. Oh, Avro, absolutely. I couldn't believe it. See, my jaw hit the floor when I seen the castle. It was massive, winding staircases, butlers in full dress. I went into the bedroom, couldn't believe my eyes. I opened the weighted curtains and I thought I must be royalty. I thought that's me. I'm Kate. I'm just like her. Then I thought, no, she's way younger than me, better. But it's amazing to how it made you feel. Honestly, I think you genuinely felt like royalty. So we've got more questions coming in. There's a question coming in from Helen, one of our viewers. So the questions came up on the screen. So maybe I've missed this information, but do we have to be a member of this 50 plus club? Is it free or do you apply alone online? Oh no, you don't have to join the organisation at all. Uh, it's very straightforward. Is we have our own website and that was established last year, and it literally just says if you want to go on a holiday this year, contact us via the website, which is displayed at the bottom of the screen. And then you book online. Yeah, absolutely. Everything's all done online. Any issues, there is a different way we can go through Facebook where my contact details are there. So you can text me directly and I can support filling in the form if there's any problems. So you've got the website and you mentioned you've got a Facebook page as well. Is that correct? Do we have the link for the Facebook page as well? There we have it. So that's the link for your Facebook page. Wonderful. So, really, if anybody's interested in any of the holidays, you should really go and look at the website, get the information. You don't have to be a member, but you can come on your holidays with us if you want. Are you thinking about maybe making a membership in the future? No, Avril, because it's all about removing barriers for people. So that might be a problem for some people. So it's just straightforward. You want to go, you can come. Okay, bear with me a second while I check out these questions. So we have a question in, and the question is it only people from the UK that can come on your holidays, or would you be welcome European deaf or American deaf? Because it does say UK in your title, it does slightly suggest it's only open to UK people. Well, in the past, we've had that discussion, and really it's an insurance thing, would you believe it? And it's about if we had to get people coming in planes and things like that, the insurance might be really sky high. The UK is such a massive place for us, and there's plenty to see. However, who knows? It may be something that's a long term goal. Nothing can stop us, and we'll just keep coming up with ideas. And if there's enough people that want to do that, and our people are supportive, then we just need your views because the world's your oyster. Yeah, I never really thought about insurance for planes and things. Do you remember years ago the youth had a kind of 18 to 30 club? This almost sounds like the 50 plus club is a mature version of that. Well, we have a group, Avro, and they'd actually tried to make it the 40 plus club, and it's still in the sort of the process of really setting up. They're just not at the stage, the structure and things that are not really there yet. So the reason I went for 50 plus was really it was the number of people around the area that seemed to be managed to give up their time as well, and things have been settled. So when we look into the 40 plus, maybe adding that on, or we might have it as a separate group. It's a work in progress, and it's really a kind of theory thing. So it could be 18 to 30, and then a 40 plus, and then 50 plus. Oh, who knows? Or 40 to 50. Oh, fantastic, Joe. Okay. Uh, could I ask you a question? The name you've got Darby and Joan in your title, your ex title, what did that mean when it was English Deaf Darby and Joan? Well, the acronym, as you know, was EDDJ. Darby and Joan, that phrase is about a couple, famous couple who were always on holiday. They would travel everywhere. And they were famous for it. So really, if you were a Darby and Joan type of couple, you were always jet setting everywhere. So we just added the English deaf Darby and Joan. Ah, so I get what you're saying. So you really are, you see yourselves as the jet setters of your group. I love it. So when everybody comes, you know, they must be like, I haven't seen you for years, and might be seeing people I haven't seen since school. Maybe what's it like? I mean, that time when we were up at the islands, that was 3 years ago. There was one person who'd met someone they had not seen from leaving school. 40 years they hadn't seen each other and bumped into each other. And he said, I wish I'd have known about 50 plus years ago because I'd have still been there. And yet we were always saying we were publicising, but people in Scotland didn't know people in the countryside, like the Highlands and the islands and things like that, didn't know about us. So we knew, or we thought, assumed everybody knew, but actually we worked it out that there wasn't a lot. The percentage was lower than we expected. So, things like social media and things like that, Facebook's a great tool, so that's how we're going to try and get to out to the hard to reach groups and how we can actually reach people and let them know what's happening. Um, so it could be that social services support this venue as well for people who are maybe lonely or isolated and let them know that this organisation's there. It might provide respite for people as well. You know, so you know what it was like. You would go to the deaf club, once a week, and oh, sorry, once every week, and you would know everybody's there. But you know that you're going to be there for a fixed amount of time. You've got 4 nights and 5 days to soak up as much information and conversation. So the deaf people are waving their hands morning and at night. That's all you see. Is just just all these hands communicating with each other, and hopefully we'll have more events in the future. So what do you think if you think do you think there'll be people in Scotland? Do you think you'll get enough interest in Scotland? What do you think? Well, when we had obviously our English deaf Darby and Joan, it was certainly mostly English people. But I mean, I'm English myself, that's how I knew about it, but I live in Scotland. And when I obviously, it was my husband who knew about it first. And he'd went to Maidstone. Maidstone, he was from Maidstone, and first went there. And he says, I can't go because I'm not 50 now. And John said, you can, as long as your partner's 50. But he'd never told me at that time. He said I couldn't go, but he went himself. And then when he came back, he kept going on and telling me about everything he'd seen. It was amazing. And said, but there was nobody from Scotland there. And so next year was the year that I went with him to Wales, which just happened to be the 50th anniversary. So it ended up with us as there was 3 of us from Scotland, and we thought, Scotland don't know about this. They would love this. And I would ask my friends if you knew about it, and they were like, "No, what is it?" Uh, they said, like me, words like the British Deaf Association. Everybody knows that. We know about English Deaf League, um, but this acronym no one knew of. And I thought, well, becoming a committee member, getting all the information, hopefully that'll break through. It's the same as in Northern Ireland. As I say, we're still waiting for someone in Wales to be appointed. Well, hopefully today we'll get your message out there. Yeah, Pam's right. She's the rep for Scotland, and we really need this information to spread far and wide. And so that Pam and Rita in Northern Ireland can get actual people who are interested, because we're obviously looking for volunteers as well, and that can be quite hard to get people because people have their own family situation, work commitments, or personal commitments, sometimes care. So I'm delighted we've got Pam, but she needs to form her team, and we need to gather more, or we need to get this information out there to more of the deaf community, including our islands. So there could be people who are out there who are isolated. Think of COVID for the last 2 years, that maybe go on holiday and maybe go on a coach trip just to get away from the place for a while. Imagine if they knew that they could go somewhere in the UK and that when they went there, everybody could understand them and it would be a holiday experience. Well, I really do hope, Joe and Pam, that us having this discussion tonight, that there'll be deaf ears in Scotland watching us and saying, do you know what? I'm going, and contact Pam tomorrow, and she'll wake up to text messages, loads of them asking all these questions. Oh, honestly, Northern Irish people, English people, Welsh and Scottish people, please get in contact with us. I mean, the highest percentage of the people that are coming now is the younger demographic of our sort of 50 plus. As I said to you, that the past it was more of the older age, sort of 60 to 75. It's now went to sort of 45 to 70. So there's lots of people that come. There's lots of different ages, and it really is a fabulous time. And you were saying there the majority of people come from Yorkshire. That's the strongest demographic. He said, "Yep, Yorkshire." The same in the northwest. There used to be coaches that would come down and to wherever their venues were. But Yorkshire, the percentage of people from Yorkshire, or rather, the people from Yorkshire are the biggest demographic that we've got that come. So I'm just thinking, do you need interpreters when you're there, or do you have volunteer interpreters? Because it might be hearing staff. Well, the committee, what we do, as I said, we're all volunteer deaf people. We don't get paid a penny. And we've got maybe one or two interpreters who come, and we pay them. We pay them to come because it's for access to communication. There might be other things that could happen, a first aid incident, or any other activity that we would want to be involved in. Oh, that's brilliant. So you're actually even thinking about making sure that if you want to access things that are in a spoken language, you can do that via the interpreter. So that's so good. Excuse me. Oh, John, I'm so amazed, that you've done all of this for all these people for such a long time, and you've just created such a wonderful signing community and thought about the interpreters. And I'm just thinking, I'm imagining myself if I'd have been there, that would have been just such a lovely experience and something to treasure, because the thing is that the older people maybe still have the old signs that we remembered from our youth. Oh, Ava, you're so right. They have some of the signs, or some of the old school signs, um, that you don't see now. And we really do. It's a challenge for us. Sometimes we have to really think back and go back to that old colloquialism that we had that years ago. But it's just so lovely to see it again. We have take videos, we photographs, we share the photographs, and now, certainly it's been we have been making sure we've got an archive of photographs and videos to mark all of our events. And always, we're always inundated with photographs of people that they want to put on. Well, I can totally appreciate that. How people maybe like to look at the photographs and see how they've changed and who's there, and just remember the fun times. You know, would you believe we've only got 10 minutes left? It's went in so quickly. So, really, are you looking for more volunteers in Scotland? Because you've got your audience in Scotland, Joe. Well, as I said before, we've got 13 to 14 people, all deaf people, on our committee. But volunteers, we have a list of volunteers, and we'd be delighted to have volunteers. And I think it would be good if we could have some volunteers in Wales as well. We really need some connection from in Wales. As I say, we've got Pam in Scotland and Rita in Northern Ireland. Wales, we need a connection. You can ask us any questions. We'll answer anything at all. I'm hoping there'll be some people from Wales. I'm absolutely sure there will be, and thinking, that might be something for me. Uh, the other thing I would really want to ask you is now you've got next year, as you know, is your 20th anniversary. But if we're looking further in the future, what would you what would be your ultimate dream? What would your bigger goal? If if all the ducks were in a row, what would you want? Oh, we've got so many ideas, Avril, so many, and we've got lots of things planned up our sleeve. But we're waiting for it to be a surprise when all of these things happen. But the key thing for us, and always have been, is the feedback we get from our surveys, because that's what feeds what happens next year, and it influences what also maybe doesn't happen as well, because we want these things to continue to the same standard. We know Mike is up there watching us from heaven, and he doesn't want us to slack. He wants the standards to be as excellent. He wants everybody to sign and relax, play games, dance, do different things, do all just whatever's happening, new ideas. I know he will want us to keep this tradition going, and we only do it once a year, but maybe that's something that maybe will change in the future, something that we need to work on. It's not an easy thing to do, organise, and even although it's just once a year, because we do work as well. I work part time, and it's evening that I have to do the free time work, like catch up with my emails, reply to people in text. However, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My heart is as strong for the deaf community as Pam and all the committee. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We thoroughly enjoy it. The people love it, and we make sure that they love it and enjoy themselves. Pam, what would be your vision of the you're just new there, so you must have loads of different ideas and directions where you're going. What I would like to demonstrate is that Scotland, um, even although it's been in England all this time, that Scottish people feel that they will be able to join us. That it's not just for English people; it's for everyone. And really, there's plenty of photographs and there's plenty of information about what happens and what the plans are like. But if you want any specific information, you can always contact myself or John. But I remember when I was saying to them, do you want to join the 50 plus? They really did think, I'm not joining that pensioner group, until they seen the pictures and realised it was a real glam fest. Um, You'd mentioned before that maybe for the 20th anniversary, you might have some regional events. That might be the taster that you're looking for. That if we have regional events, people will then see what it's like. Because, I think it will change people's mind. You're absolutely right, Avro. Avro knows a lots of people in Scotland. You've got lots of networks. Oh, honestly, I would be happy, Joe, to help you. I have watched your success over the years. That's why I wanted you here tonight as well. And hopefully, I'll be there next year at your anniversary. I would love to be there, and I would love to make sure that all our staff in the BDA know what's happening, because I think it's just so important. So, as Joe said, his future, he would love to just continue doing his job. But is there maybe considering funding for the future? Maybe appoint a full time person rather than you doing all the work, or maybe it could be just part time. Is it something you'd consider? Well, at the moment, it's just talk. What's the best for the organisation? And that's the long-term plans. So it's always everything we do, we discuss all the time. You know, um, we've got lots of topics and lots of ideas that we've thought about for each of the holidays, and we go for yes, no compromise. That's how it works. And you see in our website there was things that were happening in previous years, and you'll see the booking forms. And I remember, there's photographs as we got all these booking forms, and honestly I had to stuff them in my case, and I was putting them in all in alphabetical order. But now, oh thank goodness, we don't have that. Everything's online, so it just makes it so much easier, and it's not as time consuming. I mean, that's how technology change. We get sort of more smart, but I still have, use FaceTime a lot with people. I'm not really um, the typey sort of person. I prefer the face-to-face contact, but other committee members can do it. So we have different methods to meet anybody's communication needs. You know that older people maybe don't have access to the internet or Wi-Fi, or maybe aren't so much technically savvy. So how would they maybe get able to get a post form to fill in? How would you mitigate that? I'm just curious. Well, Avril, you're absolutely right. Everybody's different. Some text a friend, and that person, or rather, they're texting on behalf of a friend, and they come to me because they don't have access to technology, so it's a third party. Sometimes it's social workers that would type up and let us know, or help them, support them fill in the form. But as I said before, there is still some, we try our best, but there is still barriers. There is some people that are out there that that have access to really good deaf services, but there's others who don't, and it's the ones who don't know. They're the ones that we really need to focus on and target. They need our help. Would you believe it? It is just came up for an hour. I cannot believe it. So just really, to both of you, do you have a last message that you would like to share, and say to our deaf people who are watching tonight? Come on, give them a bit of oomph, Pam. Oh, absolutely. I am trying to get the opportunity to find a platform to give it the exposure it needs. So coming here tonight, I can now say, look, this is what we were talking about. And hopefully this, through BSL Blethers, will break through and people will start talking about the organisation. Maybe it'll start, people will start talking maybe within the deaf clubs. Well, that's the hope. The hope within the committee is that dialogue starts and then word starts to spread. Well, I really do hope that that happens. Joan, have you any final message? I think for me, Deaf UK 50 Plus is a wonderful volunteer organisation, because the names that we have in our list of people who have came are 2,500 individuals. They all been there, or volunteers, or anything else. So that's a proof that people love it and continue to love it. So I would just again say to anybody watching at home, if you're interested in going on a holiday, or you have ideas for us to think about different things, you might be a small, tiny thing to a big, massive event, nothing will overwhelm us, because the way we look at it is your holiday experience, and we want this to be the best. And we're really desperately asking our Irish, Northern Irish, and Welsh cousins to really imagine about us all linking together, and we can have an amazing holiday, maybe in different home nations, and then we can start to have this connection. That's the world I want to live in. Oh, that was really beautiful, everyone. That was a lovely message, because I think particular now, and it's happening all over the UK, that deaf clubs are closing. There's a lot of people that are isolated and lonely. Mental health's not doing great. There's, maybe their partners have passed away and they don't want to go on holiday themselves, but if they go with Deaf UK 50 plus, they might meet friends and just have a new a new pathway in their life. So I really think it's really important, and I think what's most important is you get 5 days and 4 nights of 24/7 sign language. So, and it's only once a year. So I ask everybody watching at home, please support Deaf UK 50 plus, and keep an eye out and see what's going to happen next year, because from your faces, I think it's going to be something very special. Thank you both for your time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.